All right, folks, welcome back to the Night's Watch. I'm Jacob.
I'm Alex.
And, man, it's a beautiful, crisp, 98-degree fall day out there, man.
Hey, it was like 75 degrees this morning. It's actually kind of nice.
Yeah,
we're
for
in that
real.
period where the mornings and the evenings are nice. Just the daytime's still fucking hot as shit.
That's, I think that's about as close as we're going to get, so.
Yeah. Hey, it's supposed to be like 81 on Monday or Tuesday.
I know. I'm excited. Yeah. I think it's going to go back up after that because it's like a temporary.
And with fall coming
system.
almost there, hockey's here. The rookie tournaments are going out today. There's a bunch all throughout the country. I know I think each division or each there's like a couple, like a group like 8 of like each rookie teams happening. Like there's like 3 or 4 of them, and then the one in LA happened with us, and then obviously the rest of the West Coast teams. We played the LA rookie team yesterday and won. We went to the rookie face-off last year at Lee's Family Forum, and that we had a great time.
Yeah, that was
pretty fun. Got to see like Leo Carlson and all those like kind of high-end rookies that some of the West had, since some of the lower end of the Pacific's been really bad. But started. I didn't get a chance to watch it. You said you did.
I watched about 2 minutes of it, and then I was like, actually, I don't want to watch this because it was only available on. It wasn't even on the team's like YouTube channel. It was like only on the website, and I don't have a computer. I just have my phone and my Xbox, and I was like, I can watch it on my phone, and then it was one camera. It was like the quality looked like the camera was like fucking 30 years old.
Because I didn't want to work at all yesterday, so I popped on the Utah San Jose game, and I'm like, this legit looks like someone shoved a camera at City National Arena in the back.
Yeah,
and it was just grainy. I'm like, this is not worthwhile. I can't see anything that's going on. I saw a hit happen. I didn't see where the puck went.
Yeah, so I was like, well, I'm not watching this on my phone. Also, my dog had surgery, so I had to keep him comfortable and sane.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah, this ain't working.
Yeah,
but I watched some highlights and read some analysis, and I'm sure we'll see the other 2 games.
Yeah, I'm excited for some of the rookies. I think they have a better chance this year playing with the Silver Knights. They got, obviously, some of the veterans are gone that were there. Like Cracknell went to, was it Slovakia? Ren Paul, I think, went to Russia, and then Freeze signed somewhere else. So some of the older guys are gone that were kind of clogging that up. So you've got room to play now. So I think that's good.
Yeah, and Brabenich scored a nice power play goal.
Yep. You know who I'm excited for that he'll probably be in the ECHL. I'm really excited for Trent Swick.
Yeah.
That big fucking 6 foot something monster.
Yeah, the Alex Tuck light. Yeah, then Braden Bowman scored a nice goal. Joe Fleming managed to get into a fight at a prospect game. So
Sweet.
That was awesome.
Hey, that's they got some bite to you even in a off-season tournament.
Listened to Ryan Craig talk about it. He didn't get a point, but he said he was really happy with
Matthias Sabavilov.
Yeah. Anyways, he was like, yeah, he had a good, strong 2-way game. He looked good. Yes, I don't know. I like our rookie group, but it's definitely an older group.
Oh yeah, it's not like a high touted. Like obviously Connolly's not going to be playing. He's going to be playing with Providence this year.
Yeah.
A lot of your it's defense, but the guys like I think Shaka was playing. Fleming, he played with Silver Knights. I think Artur Cholak is now over. But you recognize some of these names.
Seedorf had a good game.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of guys that are young. They're coming up. I'm excited for Cataford gonna be playing full season. Yes. I think,
and I think he was the one that set up the Brabenich goals. Nice. Pretty pass. So.
Yeah, so we got some young guys to be excited for in Henderson. I am a Henderson Silver Knights season ticket holder. So if you guys are ever anybody listening is at the game, we're in section 17.
I don't know.
17, one of the corners.
We're in a corner.
We're in a corner, so having fun out there. So we're excited. It's almost here. We got this weekend, and then camp starts.
I'll say, to me, I'm more excited just by the fact that rookie camp means that it's almost training camp, which means that it's almost preseason, which means that it's almost regular season.
Training camp starts next week, and then first week of the preseason is the week after.
Yep.
So we're right here. Yeah, super excited about the rookie face-off, and then a couple other things that happened this week. The PWHL introduced their team names and logos. I think it's awesome. I don't know if you caught any games last year. Those girls are fucking wicked.
Yeah, I'm glad they got their shit together, got unified under one league.
So just Toronto.
Yeah. And I'm glad they have names now.
Yeah.
That being said, some of the names and logos, my first impression when I saw them, I'm like, wow, these are pretty okay.
Yeah, Montreal's is cool.
The Victoire.
That's pretty cool. I like their colors. It's like a deeper red and like a kind of like a beige. And then
the Ottawa Charge, I think they're about to get a cease and desist from the
Cleveland Cavaliers and the Flames.
Exactly. I guess.
I saw.
There's only so many ways you can do a C, but why would you use those colors?
Yeah, the one that killed me was I saw online was like this looks like the Calgary Flames logo that what's his name on the Flames team. One of the players drew because he drew and they put it on a shirt because it's badly drawn.
Yeah, so when they do those fun little social media segments, it's like, can you draw your logo from memory? And it always looks like a fucking 5-year-old.
Yeah, it was. I think it was Blake Coleman or something. Somebody. It was hilarious because it was so bad. Even though he's
those big apes.
Yeah, he was. Even though he was on the team for a while, I was like, how do you mess this up? But and then like the Minnesota Frost, I'm like, you guys just won the championship. You can't come up with something better than Gatorade logo.
I'll say I don't mind the name, but yeah, the logo and the colors kind of uninspired.
They should have like fed off of something with a wild. They should have done like a yellow and like a green, or yellow and like a red.
Or if you're gonna do frost, do like blue or something.
Yeah, like a light blue,
like light purple.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you don't see a lot of purple in hockey, but still, like, it's Minnesota though. Like,
true. And then I actually did like the New York Sirens, but a lot of people are like, sirens, like sirens in the city, like police sirens. I'm like, I thought it was sirens, like the mythical creature.
You mean both, because it's mythical creature because they're female hockey players, and also they're from New York, meaning the sirens of New York. Because I don't, you've never been to New York, right?
No,
I went one time, and as soon as you leave the subway, it's just a fucking cacophony of like sounds. You get up and you hear all the cars, but then you hear just like the constant hum of a siren. I'm like, I don't think I'm anxious here.
It's funny because I was thinking like, oh, maybe they did name it after like a police siren, because on their like official, like design notes or whatever, they said, oh, there's a hum in the city. And I'm like, all right, so you named your team after a fucking
but then
siren?
Also the hum could go for like the hum of like the mythical siren, creature.
True.
Like, I think I don't know. I think hockey fans take like team names a little too literal sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I know we're hockey fans, but honestly, I think the average hockey fan is like a dumbass and mean spirited. So most hockey fans are so deep in their fandom that they have to hate everything that is new and or like possibly could be good for the sport. Yeah. So, change a jersey, hate it, sucks, 0 out of 10.
Even though it looks beautiful.
New team, hate it, sucks, 0 out of 10.
Speaking of people that we hate and things that we hate.
Oh yeah, well, we are hockey fans.
Yeah, we are hockey fans. Turns out Stan Bowman doesn't understand how offer sheets work. So that quote came out. He said that, oh yeah, like Armstrong and the Blues overpaid for Holloway and Broberg, especially on Broberg. But it's like, Stan. He
basically came out and said, oh yeah, our two players that played for us, like that were on our team like 2
weeks
weeks ago,
important roles in the playoffs.
They actually weren't that good, and these are gross overpays. So good thing we didn't do it.
I'm like, yes, Stan. Like that's the point of an offer sheet. It's gonna be an overpay. Are you fucking? Well, he is stupid, but
yeah,
it's the point. Like Jesper Kotkaniemi got overpaid. Every offer sheet ever made is an overpay.
Yeah,
it's the basis of the offer sheet, because you've got a set level that you can get paid at as the RFA based on your time served and your points. There's a kind of general number, and that's what the arbitration number or whatever is going to be kind of close to. And an offer sheet means they have to pay more than that number.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be an overpay regardless of who it ever is. I don't think the Holloway contract is an overpay at all. $2-point-something million for his ability, I think is great. Broberg, a little expensive off of 1 year or half a year. He still played pretty well.
He came in. He kept them in that fucking Stanley Cup final.
And again, that's something that the Blues need. They need a good, young, puck-moving, big, mobile defenseman. They don't really have that right now. And the Blues went out. Blues had money, and they went out and got it.
Oh, brother. Yeah, Stan.
We'll get it. Yeah.
Making a good impression so far. All this controversy around hiring him, and first thing he does is
trash 2 young players.
Yeah, so lose 2 young players and then trash them on the way out the door.
Exactly.
So doing great things, Stan.
Hey, he signed Leon Draisaitl. It's got to be good for something, right? You mean I'm
sure
that contract was printed out fucking 8 years ago.
I was gonna say, I'm sure he had a ton to do with that decision.
Oh yeah,
that's why Leon stayed. It wasn't for Connor. He was like, oh god, I just love Stan Bowman.
Oh yeah,
don't want to let him down.
But the other big item was the Marshy interview on the Cam and Strick podcast, and then after that, the Kelly McCrimmon response.
Using Gary Lawless as his little puppet piece.
I'm just like I get it. Marshy they were talking to him, but I'm like, let's just be done with this. And like,
yeah, it
sucks that Marshy made a statement, which is fine. He's on a podcast. They're going to ask him those questions. It's an interview.
Well, and that's the thing. Did you actually like watch it?
Yeah, I did. He wasn't critical.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was very conversational, and he was just telling it how it is. He didn't trash anyone. Matter of fact, I wrote down a lot of quotes because he actually had a lot of great things to say about Vegas.
He said the no loyalty thing, but the thing that people leaves out is right after that he goes, and I like that. That's how you win.
Exactly. Because, all right, well, I'm going to go through a few points here, if that's all right, because points that I'm seeing our fans bring up and other Vegas media people bring up. Not that I count us as media people. And what's got their fucking panties in a twist.
Jimmy's in a bunch.
Got their Jimmy's rustled. Yep. Got their fucking beans baked. But anyways, so the big thing seems to be one, people saying, oh, well, him and Cassidy didn't get along. Cassidy's too much of a hard ass, Cassidy.
Not Cassidy's
yeah. And there's a podcast or two that loves to bring up every fucking 2 weeks how Cassidy lost the room and how people don't like playing for him and all that shit. So nice quote here from Marshy. Said, Bruce will always have my respect. He ran it the right way. And he brought up the fact that, they would quote unquote motherfuck each other, once a month, once every month or so, and yell at each other. But the way Marshy phrased it, he kind of brought it up as a defense of it, saying he's like Bruce is a smart guy. He did it because he knew I could take it, and he knew that other guys couldn't. And it was always a rallying point for the team. Yeah. And he even said to me, he's like, Marsh, I only talk to you like that because you can take it and you're a leader. Yeah. And sometimes the message has to get conveyed.
Yeah. And Marshy understood that.
Yeah. And then I didn't write down the exact quote after that, but he's like, oh yeah, so I have huge respect for you. He's like, because when you're the head coach, things need to be run your way. And he even said, he's like, I know there are guys in the room that don't like him. He's like, but Bruce said to everyone's face, he's like, I don't give a shit if you like me. I'm the coach.
Yeah, and I'm the coach, and
exactly. Do you want to win or not?
Yeah, exactly. And they did. And his process has proven to win.
Yeah, and he mentioned that after the Cup year, you always have your meeting with the GM and all that. And they go, oh well, what can we improve? And he's like, what are you talking about? We won. He's like, nothing. Like, it worked. Like, whatever we did,
keep
it
going.
Worked.
And then
whatever Bruce did, it worked.
Yeah, I mean, the year after, we got eliminated in the first round of the playoffs, but you could argue, you can directly argue that season only occurred because it was derailed by so many injuries. I mean, and Theodore, Stone, Petro,
and
Marty.
It was a hard fought 7-game series against a really good team. Shit happens.
What the worst?
I don't think we lost that series because someone's like, God damn it, Bruce, stop yelling at me.
It was just the guys were tired. Like it was a fucking knife fight. Yeah. But and then it was, and then the contract was 1 year, and they were 1 year off. I get it. He wanted a little bit of term, and then McCrimmon came back out and said after, it's like, oh, he wanted 5. We only wanted to give him 4, and that's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, because people are like, well, Marchessault said they offered 3, but then McCrimmon said they offered 4, but Marshy wanted 5. So which is it? Who's lying here? No one's lying.
No one's lying. It was contract negotiations.
Again, because one, if you listen to the quote instead of cherry picking shit and reading it on fucking Twitter, you would see that he mentions he even said he said, quote, there were some offers but nothing to consider. And I think people don't realize, granted, I've never been in this situation, but I think when you're in a contract negotiation like that, I don't think it's like one offer that you're picking apart. I think they're like, okay, well, we can
do this.
Exactly. Here's a 5-year offer with this. Here's a 3-year offer, but with maybe a little higher AAV and trade protection. Yeah. Here's a 4-year offer with lower AAV, but this and that, Marshy even said, there were offers going back and forth, and he said none of the ones that came up were worth it, so I didn't go for it. Yeah. And there's nothing fucking wrong with that.
No. And it's like we said before, like the player gets to pick the contract. You don't unless you're an RFA and you get to pick the contract. Even when you're an RFA, look at the Blues. Mm-hmm. They were offered a contract and they signed that. You get to pick where you want to go and who's paying what. Not saying that highest. Sometimes it's highest bidder. It depends on the player. It wasn't even that much of a contract for Marshy when he went to Nashville, but they offered him what he wanted because they had the term, the money, and the structure. And he's like, okay, I'll go. And that's also not saying that McCrimmon didn't try, because clearly they were talking and they tried and they gave him offers, but the player didn't like that. It's a business. Like, I want everybody to drill into their heads that it's a business. Like, yeah, you can be the player can be loyal to the franchise, or the franchise can be loyal to the player. True, but you want to be San Jose and never win a fucking cup and be loyal to the guys?
Exactly.
I'm not saying it's wrong, but you have that mindset that the player needs to make a deal with the franchise to stay there forever. I'm like, no, he's got a family, he's got kids,
exactly.
He's got his own interests.
He's never had a big deal in his whole career.
No, this is his. Really, even this Nashville deal is not that big.
Yeah, like, he was a late bloomer, so I don't blame him for wanting to get paid and all right, now my family's set up for life. You know,
easy. Like it's
all fucking 28 of his children are set up for life.
That little Frenchman's fucking virile. Like,
yeah, and then on that note, people are like, oh, well, he didn't do enough to stay. He said he would do anything to be a Knight. He literally called the GM the day before, and then he called George, the president of the fucking company. Yep. And then George was on vacation. He's like, okay, I'll talk to Kelly and we'll figure this out. And he called them personally. Yep. He wasn't doing the silent treatment, wasn't leaving it all to his agent. I think he did everything he could, and I don't expect any player to be like, well, actually, I'll take a $2 million deal for just for the privilege of being here.
And that's also
that's just not how it works.
It's also not saying that's what McCrimmon offered him. I'm sure he offered him around probably about 5 to 6, but it was different AAVs, or like it was like when Kelly initially said after free agency, it was a deferred money deal.
Exactly.
Marshall did not want that.
Yeah,
that's
and
period in the story. He's got all reason and all wherewithal to deny that offer.
Yeah, and I don't think people. And again, I think people hear that like, oh, so he was going to get his money anyways, but it was just deferred. So what? And I'm like,
that's not how.
I'm like, players don't want deferred money. Like, that's 100%.
Especially hockey players.
That's especially the benefit of the team, because one, Marshy would have been. He probably also didn't have trade protection in those deals, so he would have got traded, would have got benched, would have got fucking cut.
Could have got bought out. Yeah,
and then he would lose all that, and then also take a fucking economics class, people. The time value of money is a real thing.
Yeah,
a dollar today is worth more than $1 in 5 years.
Again, and these are
look at your fucking grocery store prices, folks. Like,
it's a hockey contract, so it's $6 million a year. But if it's built to where the back end of the contract can be bought out, where the other 2/3, or half of the contracts in the last 2 years, that's not good for the hockey player, because it's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. Millions of dollars is a lot of money. It's not a lot of money for a professional hockey player. We're not talking about baseball contracts like Shohei Ohtani, who was a fucking $1 billion, and all his money is deferred to the last, it's a $750 million contract over 10 or something years, but it pays out over 20, 25, because they deferred all of it to the back end of the, of his career to pay it out. Famously, there's many famous baseball players that got paid a lot of money every day a year, like Bobby Bonilla played for the Mets. He had a massive contract. He still gets paid.
Yeah.
And that contract ended 20 fucking years ago.
Yep.
And so it's not valuable to a hockey player who gets way less money than any other sports, in the fucking world.
Yeah, and because when you get that money and you need it to last your life, and still want your family to have a certain quality of life, which obviously is more than I'll ever have. But
if you have the ability now,
they need to get the money now, and they need to invest it and get some interest back. And
especially being, like we said, he's an older forward. He's 33. It's not Seth Jarvis. Seth Jarvis is 23. He can 22, 23. He can deal with this, deferred payment on his deal.
Oh yeah.
Marshy can't. He's gonna have probably a good maybe 2 to 3 years of production, and then, as with all older forwards, trail off. Especially forwards of his size, in his ability. He'll hit 35, 36, and maybe he's still in the league. Who knows? And then it's unfair. It's all on Marshy's unfair, but also to put it all on McCrimmon's unfair too, because
you don't want. Because goal scorers are usually the ones that age out first.
Quickly, yes.
Then your two-way forwards can hang on a little longer, and then your defenseman can hang on a little longer.
Yes.
So I get it. You don't want that much money wrapped up in your window for someone that might age out.
Yeah, exactly. And clearly he prioritized youth. I mean, not Victor Olofsson, but it's a 1-year deal. He got Holtz. He's bringing Brisson. He's prioritized Dorofiev getting in the lineup. He's prioritizing youth to come on the wings and say, here's what we got. Let's score.
Exactly.
So he had a plan.
Which is and again, wingers, that's the position. I don't want to say it's the easiest to hop into, but it's the easiest.
Easier than center.
Exactly.
Yeah, easiest for a rookie. That's why rookies get started at wings before they get started at centers. Like, unless you're Connor Bedard, you're not getting started at center. So
yeah. So it turned into this whole negative thing. People are saying it's a war of words and this and that, and all these popular hockey accounts are like taking quotes out of context.
Classic.
Can I share a few quotes that I thought were very positive from Marshy?
Yeah.
All right. So when they asked him, what made Vegas so good, he said, "It starts with the owner. The owner gives you all the tools and all the people that you need to be good, but they take care of you off the ice so well. They treat you like a king. They treat you so well. The organization, the trainers, they're awesome." So again, you
love the organization.
Yeah, nothing but good things to say. And then this is my favorite one that made me laugh. He said, "You look at the Canadian cities. You're a hero when you do well, but goddamn, do they hate you if you have a slump of 5, 6, 7, 8 games. You always hear it everywhere." Then he says, "But in Vegas, if you have a slump of 5 or 6 games, the fans still come up to you at a restaurant or whatever. They'll still say, 'Hey, you guys saved the city. You're so cool. Thanks for everything.' It just makes you feel so good. The community there, it's unbelievable."
Yeah, he liked playing here. He likes the fans. He likes the organization. Like that's a very pointed quote as a guy from Montreal.
Exactly. People are making this out like, oh, it's this jilted ex-lover giving the juicy tell-all, but really he didn't have anything bad to say other than
the only thing bad to say was like he was disappointed that he didn't get the contract he wanted.
Yeah, and he disagreed that he's like, well, I think I am worth that money for what I've done and what I will still do. And that's perfectly fair.
Fine. Yeah, and he said he loved playing here. He loved being here. He loved doing what he's doing. He loved everything about the organization. And I think a big quote I remember for that was like, yeah, you do it. And then if you don't get it, you move on.
Yeah, and I think he said, all good things come to an end, which was true.
Yep.
And then one final quote that I'll leave off on because I think it kind of wraps it up nicely. He said, "Honestly, I have nothing bad to say against Vegas. It's been unbelievable. What a run. It was such a treat. We brought a cup to that city." So, long story short, keep Marshy's name out your fucking mouth. It happens. Players leave.
Yep.
Pacific Division preview. Let's get into it.
Final division, yeah.
Saved it. The best for last.
The best for last. You know what? We were talking about it earlier. The West is so fucking good, dude. Like
it really is.
There's 10 teams, maybe 11 teams that legit could make into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the East, I was like, we were looking at those teams. I'm like, more than half of these teams fucking suck.
Yeah, I'm convinced that I don't want to say I hate it. It's a little silly and people go East Coast bias, but I'm starting to unironically believe that. I'm like, I think there is East Coast bias.
There's 100% East Coast bias.
And it's funny because you hear these like media personalities from like Toronto and New York, and they always make the same joke like, oh, well, I wasn't going to stay up until 10 to watch, the Vegas versus Oilers game.
You should, because it's going to be fucking amazing.
I'm not watching Blues games. I'm like, well, maybe you should.
You're missing out because
you're missing out on half
these
the
teams
fucking
are
league.
fucking good. Yeah. Like we previewed the Central last week. The Central is great, and there's like 5 or 6 teams in that division that.
And I think the Pacific's pretty strong too.
Yeah. We'll get into it. Anaheim's gotten better. Everybody got better in this except for one, but everybody got marginally better in this division.
Yeah, well, we got worse.
We got a little worse, but
that's the thing. It's like the other ones. I think the bad teams got better and the good teams got worse. So we're all kind of meeting in the middle here.
All right, let's get into it though. So last year in 8th was San Jose.
Yes,
they were. What was?
They went 19-54-9,
Christ.
which was good for 47 points.
I forgot they didn't even break 20 wins.
Yeah, so good for 47 points and for Macklin Celebrini.
Yep, they were awful.
So this year, 8th place, it's going to be 3-2-1 San Jose. Yeah.
Yeah, I like what Greer's doing. So, you know how we talked about last week when I was like, what is Kyle Davidson doing in Chicago? I think Greer did the perfect of, we're going to bring kids in, but we'll bring in a few veterans.
As I say, they added some pieces. Yeah, they added Toffoli, Wenberg, Gaudreau, Askarov. Obviously, Celebrini and Smith are coming up.
Yes.
Eklund, I think he's still there.
Yeah, he's still there.
I think he was there last year.
Yep.
But yeah, so they have a lot of youth. They added some vets. And I've even seen some people get a little like, I don't know, man, maybe they'll go on a run. And I'm like, no, they're still bad.
Maybe they'll start off hot because you're young, but no, Askarov isn't going to start. You've got Mackenzie Blackwood and Vitek Vanacek. Vitek Vanacek was fucking awful last season.
Yep.
You bring in like Klim Kostin, who's a good, he's still young. Klim Kostin's only 25 years old. Jesus. Oh. So he's a good young, plug-in guy. Carl Granstrom's also a decently young plug-in guy.
Jake Wallman, who I still don't understand what the fuck Eiserman was doing.
I have no idea. But this team's young, but with some vets. So you look at this lineup. So the forwards, as of is right now, you've got Eklund, Granlund, and Zetterlund. A very first line.
Underwhelming.
But no, the Unds. Well, it's called the Und line.
It all ends with Und, and it's also underwhelming.
Yeah, I think Macklin Celebrini probably plays on the first line with somebody else. But then you've got Couture, Macklin Celebrini, Tyler Toffoli. I think Tyler Toffoli is a good signing for young guys. Mm-hmm. I think they desperately need to get out of the Couture contract as quickly as possible. He is 36 years old, and he is owed $88 million for the next 2 seasons. And then you've got Wenberg, Smith, and Luke Kunin. Kunin was not that great last year, and Will Smith is going to be his first year. I think he's good. He's got some high hopes. And then Wenberg's also pretty solid. And then you've got Barclay Goodrow, Nico Sturm, and Ty Delangelo. Not a bad fourth line at all.
No.
And then on defense, you've got Mario Ferraro. I actually really like Mario Ferraro.
Yeah, same.
He's 26. He's a good defenseman. And then Cody Ceci, who we all know is very bad.
Yep.
Jake Wallman, Jan Ruda, Mark-Edward Vlasic, who is just an old pylon at this point.
He's a fucking corpse.
Luckily, his contract comes off the books next season, so it's 1 more year. And then Matthew Benning, again, just a plug guy. And the goalies, we said Blackwood and Vanacek. And the scratches are Kostin, Grenstrom, and Henry Thrun. I think you're going to see a lot of young guys on the defense this year. You're probably going to see Shakir McMilladine. You're going to see the guy they drafted this year, what's his name? The kid they drafted in the first round.
Macklin Celebrini?
The defenseman they drafted first. Oh. Sam Dickinson.
Okay.
Yeah, that 6'3" big kid. He drafted 11th. He'll probably play some games. I know he signed his contract. You got Quentin Musty. They've got guys. They've got Bordelot.
They have a good prospect pool.
Yeah, so you'll see some young guys. But again, they're young. They might start off a little, because they're young, they might start off a little hot, but they're not going any higher than 7th in this division.
No, I don't know. I'm sure Askarov I have a feeling Askarov will be one of the goalies out of the gate because seems like he demands it,
Yeah, and he's still so young. The expectation of him being anything better than mediocre.
I just don't know how many times we can see a young, hot goalie come up and be like, oh, this is it. Yep. He's ready. And then he crashes and burns because he's only like 20-something years old.
Yeah, and plus he's going to be behind not a very good defense. I mean, outside of Ferraro and Wallman. To me, even then, Wallman's more offensive-minded than defensive-minded.
Alex, I don't know if you remember this, but the Buffalo Sabres are going to the conference finals because Devin Levi, the young Jedi Warrior, is going to finally save their goaltending.
Yeah.
So, and again, I'm not saying these guys won't be good goalies.
Eventually,
I'm just saying they'll be good. They'll be good goalies in 3 years.
Yeah, and this is for next year, this coming season. So I think it's 8th. I mean,
not much more to say.
Yep. So 7th last year was Anaheim.
Ducks, yeah. They went 27, 50, and 5, which is good for 59 points.
Not terrible.
No, that's pretty good. This year at 7, and I switched this the last second just now, but this year at 7, it's going to be 3, 2, 1.
Calgary.
Flames. Yep. Yeah.
I actually hate this team more than I'm not confident in the youth of San Jose being better. I just don't like this lineup.
Well, they traded everyone pretty much that they could trade.
Yeah, like the Huberdeau trades. Huberdeau contract's untradeable. Kadri's too expensive to trade. Mantha they signed, which I don't think is a good idea.
No.
Mackenzie Weegar is really good.
Well, that's the thing. There are good players here, and that's why I was like, oh, should I have him at like 6 or something? But then I was like, no, because I feel like they're just at that point in the team's life cycle where it's just like
they're not fully dedicating to the rebuild, but like they're on the cusp of they need to sell everything, or
Yeah.
there's gonna be in 6.
This is the moment where like everyone get out of the building. It's about to collapse.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just bloated contracts. Like it's a purgatory team right now.
Because I do like Connor Zary.
Yes.
Kadri's still good for
I
his
do like
age.
Igor Sharangovich.
Yeah, Backlund, Kuzmenko.
I like some of these guys, but let's look at the forwards. So we've got Huberdeau, Kadri, and Mantha. Huberdeau is just a nothing at this point. Like he can get back to where he was.
Here's another reason why I fucking hate Calgary. I think they're fucking ruined Huberdeau.
I think so too.
They just got him because the style that they play, and it was Daryl Suter's style, and now it's fucking what's his face's style, the guy that took over. He didn't change any of the systems. It's the exact same fucking system.
You got to change your system for the
and
guy you bring in.
It's like this.
Kachuk could play that system because he's a two-way forward. Huberdeau is not.
Exactly. And I don't know. To me, I'm like, if you're making a 10-year fucking or a $10 million 8-year investment in a player, you need to get the most out of them.
Yeah, and they're not doing
and
that.
If you're saying, hey, Jonathan, no one will ever join you on the rush.
No one's ever going to set you up for a
no one's
goal.
ever going to be open for a pass.
No one's ever going to do what you do best, assist.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think they're trying to
and guess
there's always the argument of, you got a player that elite should be able to adapt. I'm like, I get that, but at a certain point, you just have to look at the reality of what's happening and be like, maybe we should stop trying to force a round peg into a square hole.
Yeah, yeah. And then he's with Kadri and Mantha. I mean, and we had Mantha last season. We all saw it. Mantha wasn't good. He's lazy. He's just he's like the most talent. It's like a PLD situation. Like he's big, he's talented, he's fast, he's got a great shot. It's just he doesn't apply himself.
I just feel like he secretly just doesn't care about hockey. I think he just does it because
it makes him money.
He's good enough to be a pro.
Exactly.
And he's like, all right, I'll make a few $1,000,000 and then, be comfortable the rest of my life and do shit I actually want to do, like fucking golf or fish.
Exactly. Yeah. And then so on the second line, we've got Igor Sharangovich, who is very good. Mikhail Backlund, who's getting up there in age, and then Blake Coleman. And then on the third line, you have Connor Zary, Martin Pospisil, and Andrei Kuzmenko. I think Kuzmenko is the only name that's matters on that third line.
Well, I really like Connor Zary. He's young though. I think
he's 23. He's a draft pick. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
he's got potential.
He started to pop last year, so I think he's one of those guys that you're pinning some hopes
on
for the future.
Yeah, that's a little rough. And then you've got Jacob Peltier, and then Kevin Rooney and Ryan Lomberg. I think
Lamborghini.
Peltier is a guy that they've had a lot of hope in for a while. It just hasn't popped yet. But then again, he hasn't had a chance to play that much, just because they were good for a while. And then defense, you've got Uyghur and Anderson, which is a good pairing.
That's a good pair.
And then you've got Kevin Ball and Daniil Miramanov, who I'll miss dearly. Which, you don't want that being your second pair, really.
Yeah.
And then Jake Bean and Braden Bacall, again, you don't want that being your third pair.
Because I have many fond memories of Miramanov and Bacall, and I think they're good players.
I think
maybe this is the opportunity that they need.
Totally.
They're somewhere where they're getting ice time, and maybe they'll take that next step. But all I could think is like, okay, so that was like our 8 and 9 defensemen, and now they're
maybe even 9 and 10.
Yeah, now they're
because Miro
starting.
Was the 7th until he got injured, and then Korzak surpassed him in the kind of call ups. So that's why they felt good enough sending Miramanov away for Hannafin.
And then what really made me put these guys at 7 rather than 6 was
Vladar and Wolf. Vladar was not good last year.
No, he's only ever been a backup.
Wolf is great in the AHL. I mean,
it's the same thing we're just talking about. He's very talented.
He's 23
he has
still.
The potential. He has potential. He probably will be a great goaltender.
Yeah.
But again, he's 23 behind a dog shit team. Like,
yep.
He's gonna probably finish the year with like an 8.99, and people are like, "Oh my god, what happened?"
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean, what happened?
He's young. He's 23. That's what happened. Like, come on, guys. And then their scratches are Dryden Hunt, Walker Dewar, who again just 2 AHL guys, and then Jared Ternorty, who they just signed, which he's just big.
But hey, they got Tyson Berry on a PTO.
Oh yeah, Tyson Berry. Oh,
he'll really shut it down in front of those young goalies.
Yeah, I wonder why Edmonton was so bad on defense when he was on the fucking team. And so from there, they've got like a couple guys. Like I know they drafted Zane Parekh.
So they got Coronado.
Furk. Yeah, and then
whose biggest plus to him is that his last name has no vowels.
And then Andrew Basha is pretty solid. Henry Muse is good too. So they got some guys, but like not a lot. Cupboard's bare, starting to get bare, and I think they just need to rebuild and suck it up.
Yeah, I think basically they're gonna. Obviously, they haven't made too many moves. I think they're just gonna see how this year goes, and then basically just wait for the trade deadline.
Yep. No, I agree. I think there's plenty of contracts here that you could trade away. Like you could trade away Kuzmenko, who we talked about, I think previously, like, oh man, wouldn't we love to have an Andre Kuzmenko with just another fucking wicked shot? Ryan Blomberg, you could trade that fourth line body away. You could trade. The hope is that you could probably figure out how to trade Kadri, but you're gonna have to retain some money.
As would say, $7 million until 2029.
Yeah, it's a hard contract.
He's already 30. He's turning 34.
Yeah, and you're not gonna be able to trade Huberdeau without retaining all of it and then getting a third team to retain another 25%.
Like probably get a pittance for Anthony Mantha.
Yeah, I mean, do anything?
Goals.
Yeah, so yeah, that's where I'm at 7th. Not much more to say. So
same. I think they would have been 8th if it wasn't for San Jose
being young,
being so bad last year, and
being a bunch of teenagers and some older guys. So, so 6th last year was
the Kraken. Yeah, so they went 34, 35, and 13. That was
still
good for 81
season.
Points.
Yeah.
This is where I would start to qualify it as not terrible.
Not terrible.
They looked like they were in it. It was weird. They had they had a big win streak and then a couple of losing streaks, and
they just couldn't tie like a good month or two together to keep them in it. So it happens. Like they had a great year before, and maybe a little bit of growing pains.
Yeah, but anyways, this year at 6, it's going to be 3, 2, 1. The
Anaheim.
Ducks. All right.
So I think we all agree. You and I agree. Obviously, we agree. But 6, 7, and 8 is very obvious in this division.
I think so. Yeah.
The Ducks. I do like the Ducks. What they've improved. Like their younger guys are getting older. They're getting more ice time. I love Leo Carlson. He's a fucking Wolverine. He's huge. He's still growing. I think we talked about it on this podcast before. But I know you and I have talked about it. Where like they brought him in to like get a physical, and the team doctor was like
your bone plates aren't set. You're still growing. And they're like, what?
What? So he could be like 6'5", 6'6" by the time he's like actually like fully grown. And they got Cutter Gauthier. They brought in who's their it's Beckett Sinek, but did you see that he's gonna be out for the first 8 weeks of the season? So
my knock on them and why I was kind of back and forth on them and the Flames was they didn't really add much.
No, they just drafted.
They're basically, I think what the bet is like, okay, because there are some vets here. You got Vetrano,
Killorn,
Strome. So hopefully those are guys that can kind of shelter, Dumoulin, kind of shelter guys and be like, hey,
Dumoulin was a good signing. I would say it's only 1 year too. You could trade that contract if you're in 6th place. So.
Yeah, so hopefully those vets will be enough to be like, all right, well, we're not going to get totally ran over.
Yeah, right.
I don't think they'll be that good.
Yeah,
but then you're also hoping those young guys like, okay, they're a little older, a little wiser, a little more experienced.
Yeah, you hope that we can go through the lineup. I think they're going to kind of load up some of the first 2 lines with younger guys and not depend on Alex Killorn being on the. I like Alex Killorn. I think Alex Killorn is a very good player. But do I think he's a top 3 forward? No. So we can get into it. So forwards, you've got Cutter Gauthier, Leo Carlson, Alex Killorn, and then you've got Frank Vetrano, Trevor Zegras, and Ryan Strome, Robbie Fabry, Mason McTavish, Troy Terry, Brock McGinn, Isaac Lundestrom, Brett Leeson. That fourth line is certainly not great.
I don't know who the fuck Brett Leeson is.
And then defense, you have Brian Dumoulin and Cam Fowler. Good first pairing. Jackson Lacombe and Radko Gudas, Pavel Michnikov, and Uko Vakanainen. Michnikov is very good. He's still young. He's only 20 years old.
I did hear from Friedman that I guess there's been conversations between Fowler and the Ducks where it's like kind of silently understood that it's like, yeah, you're a good defenseman, but your age range by the time this team is good,
you're on your way out.
It won't be your team anymore. And I think we could see Cam Fowler getting moved at the deadline.
I think so too. I mean, I think the captain of this team, he's got the A. I think they're also talking about giving Radko Gudas the C, which makes even less sense because he's older than Cam Fowler.
Well, I mean, I think it makes sense in the sense that
maybe temporary,
exactly, and then by the time he's out,
you can give it to like Leo Carlson or whoever, somebody. I still think it's hilarious that a team called the Ducks have a player named Cam Fowler.
It's too perfect.
And then their GM is Pat Verbeek. I know we joke about that all the time, but I love it. And then goalies is John Gibson, who they
got to fucking trade him.
They've got he's still a very good goalie, but God, this guy is just
thing. I feel like I don't know how much longer I can say, yeah, he's good. I'm like, is he? I'm like,
you could also
maybe if he goes somewhere and gets a shot in the arm,
so you could also argue he's been behind a really bad defense for a long time.
Oh yeah, and then
Dostal. And
I do like Lucas Dostal.
I do too.
I think he'll be good.
And they've got a good goalie prospect too. What's his name? Callie Klang is solid.
Hey, they got Oscar Dance.
Oscar Dance is on that team now, and then they also have what was the other goaltender? Damien Clara. Yeah, he's solid. And then on their scratches, they've got Ross Johnson, which I think is a good forward to have. Ross Johnson's a big forward. You could play him on your fourth line. Jansen Harkins is also a solid forward. And a guy I think who actually plays more than other players on this defense is Olin Zellweger.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of potential. He is still young,
a little
but
small.
He's a good puck-moving defenseman.
We saw him all the time for the goals.
Really good defenseman. A really good offensive defenseman. I think he could pop in and maybe even play with Michnikov or play somewhere. I think he plays on this team more.
I think so too.
And then we got some interesting PTOs. Boris Kachuk is on a PTO, which made his career as a fourth line guy. I think he'll make the team. And then Gustav Lindstrom and Martin Pizik. 6 I think is good for this team. They've got some guys that are in the minors, like we said, Beckett. I think it's
remember they had
Senecki, or is it Senek? I've heard it pronounced.
I think it's Senecki.
Senecki. He's going to be injured, so that's kind of hard. I think they were expecting him to play this year, I think, or at least be a part of the lineup or be in camp. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be hard for them. They have room to grow. I just don't think it's time yet.
Exactly, because they had a surprisingly good start of the season last year, and then they fell off pretty hard.
I mean, what's going to happen with San Jose? They had a bunch of young guys high off of being young and starting the season, and they may start hard, and then they're going to fall off.
And what I think it really hinges on is Trevor Zegras gonna
show up?
Ever be what he was
going to come back?
Be? Yeah. I think he's 23, I think.
Zegras is 23, yep.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of the age where it's like, all right, you're young,
especially
but you're not, you're at the higher age of being a prospect.
Yeah, especially with
this is basically like your last year being like a young guy, and after this, you're kind of a finished product.
Agree,
so.
Especially with how much he wanted. On his RFA
and
deal. I don't know. Are you shitting me, man?
I don't know if you ever do this, but do you ever just look at a player and be like, oh man, you look like a grown up now.
Yeah.
He kind of, I saw those pictures of him because everyone's laughing at his mullet, but I was looking at his face and his frame. I'm like, oh, you're
an adult. Yeah.
So you look like an adult man now. So maybe that'll be to his benefit.
Maybe he'll be able to take some more hits, because I know he was a little not fragile, but he had problems staying on the ice after getting hits, and he was his longevity was in question for a season. I mean, he's American, so I hope he plays well. He's on the Ducks. I don't obviously they're a rival team, but as an American, forward, you want him to be okay. You want him to be a part of the, part of the team and play well. But yeah, so 6.
I think that's
agree.
Fair.
So, and then in 5th last year,
it's the Flames. They went 38, 39, and 5, which is 81 points, which was tied for the Kraken 6.
Yeah, okay.
They had the tiebreaker.
It doesn't matter.
Didn't matter much.
Didn't matter.
Okay. Do you have yours?
I have mine.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's set.
Fuck it. I'll just go for it. Okay. So this year in 5th, it's going to be 3, 2, 1.
The Kings.
Okay. I was really shuffling these, man.
So let me preface this with saying, much like last week, both Jacob and I think we both agree, 1 through 5 in this division
It's very hard.
Very hard, and they're all tight together because they all have great things about them, and they all have big question marks about them.
Mm-hmm.
I like a lot of the players in the Kings. I like Anze Kopitar. I love Quentin Byfield. I like Warren Fogle. I like Philip Deneau. I like Trevor Moore.
Trevor Moore is like one of the most underrated players right now.
I like Tanner Jeannot. They've got some good guys, and they're going to bring in Akil Thomas and hope that he finally
even Akil Thomas. Like I know a few weeks ago, we're like, oh, they got fucking Akil. They're bringing up Akil Thomas, but we've seen Thomas play all the time with Ontario. He's good. Like. I have no problem believing that. Like, all right, I'm ready to take the step.
Yeah,
start me, coach. Put me in.
He's been derailed by a couple shoulder injuries over the last couple of years, and he's a good player. Alex Turcotte, good young guy.
Yep.
Alex Laferriere is really showing up. They've got guys that I like. It's just, does this team finally take that step? Like, I know we got them down. They were in third last year, but
I feel like they're kind of in no man's land right now.
It's just such an odd makeup. Like, I like their forwards, but then their defense is like, oh, you really going to depend on Mikey Anderson and Drew Doughty's 35.
Yeah.
He's good.
Well, I
still like Drew Doughty, but
that was my big question. Was like, how much longer can you guys fucking lean on Kopitar and Doughty?
Yeah, they're
like Kopitar's fucking 37. Doughty's like 34, so not too bad, but still like needs
they're
help.
older, yeah. And then you've got
I like Mikey Anderson.
I like him, yeah. He's a good young forward.
I actually don't mind this defense. I think Edmonton was a good pickup.
Yes, Joel Edmondson was. I really like Brent Clark too.
Yeah, you should be taking a step.
Let's go through the lineup.
Yeah.
So forwards, you've got Alex Laferriere, Anze Kopitar, Adrian Kempe. Then you've got Kevin Fiala, again, really good. Quentin Byfield, Warren Fogle.
I think Byfield. I really think he's going to have a huge year.
I think Byfield's going to supplant Kopitar as the number. You want him to. You want.
I think this is going to be the year where you're like, oh, he's the guy.
And isn't that contract fucking amazing? 6.25 until 2029.
Yeah. Fucking steal.
After Slafkovsky got $8 million.
Yeah. No, exactly.
And Byfield's so fucking good. Like, he's going to be a problem for us for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
He's so big. He's gigantic. 6'4", 215. Jesus Christ. It's a big boy. And then you've got Trevor Moore, Philip Deneau, and Tanner Jeannot. I think is a good third line.
Yeah, and because I wonder if they would even bump Moore up and then have Fogle on the third.
You can even bump Jeannot up and have Fogle on the third too.
Yeah, because Deneau is obviously a fucking nightmare to play against.
Can you imagine a line of Fiala, Byfield, and Jeannot?
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's a nightmare to play against. And like you said, and then Deneau and Moore were fucking demons last season.
I always forget, like a year or two ago, someone asked Nathan McKinnon, like, who's the hardest player to play against? And you're like, oh, McDavid or, whoever. Nah, he said Philip Deneau because he's so defensively sound that he just frustrates you every second.
That was the guy
there.
that they deployed against our
exactly
one of the best Golden Knights team to ever be put on the ice.
The whole narrative of that was like, oh, it was Carey Price. I'm like, I think it was more Deneau and fucking what's his name, Shea Weber.
Yeah,
that
Philip Deneau was an animal.
We were averaging like 15 shots a game.
Yeah, Philip Deneau was amazing. He's a great two-way forward, just incredible. And then the fourth line is Alex Turcotte, Akil Thomas, and Trevor Lewis. Turcotte, Thomas, I think they need to take that next step. I think they can, but Trevor Lewis is 37.
Yeah, Lewis.
I don't know if it's with him. Let's just say that.
Yeah, that's a weak spot for sure.
And then defense, you've got Mikey Anderson and Drew Doughty.
I like that pairing. Mikey Anderson's good, really good defenseman.
Vladislav Gavrikov and Jordan Spence, which I also think is a good pair. Jordan Spence is pretty good, very solid. And then Joel Edmondson and Brent Clark. I think that's a good pairing too.
Yeah, because Edmondson, that's big body, good stick.
Can protect the young guy.
Kind of shut things down, and then Clark is more offensively minded.
Yeah, Clark's very good. And then goalies, which I think this is the huge question mark.
Yes.
Darcy Kemper and David Riddick. Kemper is going to be 35, and he was terrible his years in Washington, and even when they won the cup he won the cup with the Avs, he wasn't that great. He was sound, but he didn't win them. Like, he wasn't like shutting people out when
he wasn't the difference maker.
Yeah, it was the team in front of him.
Put it to you this way, I don't think he got any Conn Smythe votes.
No, I agree. And then
which is a shame because he was really good in Arizona. I always really liked Darcy Kemper. And then when Colorado picked him up, I was like, oh shit,
they're going to be a juggernaut. And he was like,
yeah, but I don't know. Maybe he just needed a change. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and then these scratches, I think I think this contract gets done and he can play on the fourth line. I think this guy's going to be a huge difference maker. It's Artur Kaliev. He's owed his contract.
Yeah, I don't know, but I feel like I didn't look too hard into him, but I just remember his name coming up a lot last year where people were kind of like, is Kaliev going to be good? Like, it seemed like people were unsure of him.
I think
I don't even know how many
if you
games
expect
he
him to play on a young line on the fourth line, I think that's fine as like a fast energy line. And then
probably better than Trevor Lewis.
Oh, yeah, and then you've got Kyle Burrows and then Andreas England on the scratches. And then obviously a couple guys that were drafted that we really wanted, Liam Greentree.
Yep.
God, still. I mean, Connolly's looking better, with what he's doing, but man, Greentree was right there. He's so good.
Yeah.
Probably going to be with his junior team this year, or he signed his contract, so we'll see. And then Jacob Dvorak was the draft pick 2 years ago, and then Carter George, who's a very good goaltender, they drafted this year. I think a goaltender we might see for them if they need it is Eric Portillo.
I was about to say Portillo's
Portillo. I don't know if it's two L's, but he played for Michigan, but then he came and played for the Reign, and we saw him against a couple games.
I was going to say we saw him, didn't we?
He was very, very fucking good.
Yeah.
Big too, 6'6", 200. He's 24. Like, this is the perfect time to bring him in.
I say they desperatly need a goalie to be coming up in the system.
The perfect time to bring him in
because that Cal Peterson guy did not work out.
Did not work out, and the Phoenix Copley is 32.
Well, I'll say, he was already,
yeah,
he was already a proven product in the AHL. He was only in the NHL
by force,
out of necessity.
Yeah, so they've got some guys. I mean, again, I don't hate this team.
Put it to you this way:
it's just like I literally went through like 3 times and moved.
I had them as high as third at one point.
Yeah, I moved all 5 of these teams in the top 5 around.
Yeah,
3 times. I was like, I can't, like, I don't want to be too down on some teams because they're still good, but because of my own bias, I don't want to be too high on a certain team because of my own bias.
Same.
Like, you've got to look at this objectively. I'm like, objectively, it's like they're more in the middle, but they could be really good.
Yes.
For me, at least for the Kings.
I think this is a team that could have 3 scoring lines.
Yes.
They could have at
least
2 of these lines could also shut other teams down.
That third line with the note could effectively be
defense.
your fourth line, and you can make a young line with Turcotte, Thomas, and Kaliev
Mm-hmm.
or you could bring Greentree in and try him out and put him on the third line. You've got a lot of depth on this forward group. I know we were kind of joking about it earlier, a couple episodes ago, like, oh man, but you look more at the players, you're like, actually, these guys are really good.
Yeah,
these are good guys to have on your team in like this depth role.
Yeah, and I think I said earlier, I feel like a lot of people are really down on the Kings, and yeah, we both have them at 5, so maybe I shouldn't.
It's a reluctant 5.
It's a reluctant 5. It's a reluctant 5.
I still think this, like,
and like I said, if they finished third or second in the division, would I be that surprised?
If the Kings were in the Metro or the Atlantic, this team would be finishing second.
Oh, easy.
Yeah,
easy. Yeah, I would take them over fucking Ottawa.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Over Montreal, over Buffalo, over Detroit.
I take a lot of these Western teams over more than half of the East. So
agreed.
So we'll go on to fourth.
Yes. So last year in fourth was Vegas. Yeah, we went 45, 29, and 8, 98 points.
Yep.
That was what a shit show. But anyways, this year in fourth is going to be 3, 2, 1 Oilers. Oh.
Again, I'll preface this like with what you said last week. I don't have them that far away. So same thing. I had Seattle,
I may be in hot take territory.
I had Seattle higher. That was my hot take, was the Oilers were going to miss the playoffs, but then like I don't know how they missed. Like, you really look at the forward, like not even the forward group. You just look at Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
Exactly.
How does this team get fourth? But a good argument I've seen is like, this is the first long playoff run they've ever had into the finals, into 7 fucking games in the finals.
To me, what it really came down to was that they have 3 NHL defensemen on the fucking roster.
Yeah, no,
and their bottom 6 is dog shit.
Yeah.
I cannot comprehend how people are so hype about the fact that they have fucking 40-year-old Corey Perry on their third line.
Yeah, legitimately. Let's actually do the Oilers first. So you have the Oilers at fourth.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm gonna look like a homer fool, but you know what? It's our podcast. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
So I'll give you my thoughts.
So we've got
this top 6 is pretty fucking good.
So we've got Nuge, McDavid, Hyman, Skinner, Draisaitl, Arvidsson. And then you've got Janmark, Henrique, and Perry. And then Podolskin, Derek Ryan, and Connor Brown.
So, well, let's talk about the forwards real quick, and then we'll hit the defense. Yeah. So that top 6 is probably one of, if not the best top 6 in the league.
Yeah, I was looking at Skinner's stats. He's been actually steadily scoring like over 25.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think he can score. Obviously, with a fucking trained steel could score with Leon Draisaitl as a center.
And that's the thing. Part of me almost wonders, do they throw Skinner on that top line and bump Nuge down? Obviously, you don't want to. That top line was so good that you don't want to break it up.
Yeah,
Skinner's a sniper. So if you have McDavid.
You have a sniper, and then Hyman's like a finisher. That's
like a goal,
finisher.
That front guy.
Yeah,
yeah. So I feel like I'm starting to question myself. Here's what I'm really thinking. I look at that top 6, and that's great. I'm like, that top 6 is going to win them a shit ton of games.
But I
think they're going to come out the gate fucking hot.
Yeah.
But I think as the year goes on,
it's going to wear them down. Yeah.
Teams get used to that. Teams adjust. There's more video.
Yep.
They get tired. Suddenly it's like February and everyone's just not in a good mood and,
burnt out.
Everyone's burnt
got
out.
Some injuries.
I look at this bottom 6. I'm like, they are going to get fucking caved in, dude.
Yeah. But then Victor Arvidsson, yeah, he's good. I think Victor Arvidsson is a good hockey player, but he's been perennially injured for the last few years.
I don't think he's played more than 60 games, and like everyone talks about Stone.
He played 72 games, I think, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And last year he only played 19.
Yeah.
19 games.
Yeah. People talk about Stone getting injured. My God.
Victor Arvidsson's just been all over the place.
Yeah. And that's probably why fucking LA finished as low as they did, because they were missing him almost the whole fucking year.
Yeah. He's an important scorer.
And then I like Janmark, but he had like fucking like 19 points last year.
Yeah. And then
Corey Perry. Fuck. What more is there to say? He's 40 years old.
And then Adam Henrique's going to be 35.
Yeah.
And then the fourth line is Derek Ryan. Maybe Podolskin plays on Henrique's wing because Podolskin's only 23. But then now you're gonna have Corey Perry on the fourth line with Derek Ryan. You're just gonna have old ass fourth line that's gonna get fucking caved in.
Exactly. I don't like this bottom 6 at all. I think they're gonna get caved in by whatever matchup they're facing. And then this defense is fucking dog shit.
So
dude.
Matthias Ekholm and Evan Bouchard, fine,
great first pairing.
Great first pairing. Not gonna deny that. Darnell Nurse, Ty Amberson.
Yeah,
fucking falls apart.
Already falling apart.
Brett Kulak, Josh Brown.
Yeah, and that's if they might put Troy Stetcher or Travis Dermott in there.
Yeah.
So,
wow, that's such an upgrade. I mean, because I would put fucking my dog that my uncoordinated dog over Josh Brown to play defense. Josh Brown was literally the statistically worst defenseman in the league last year.
Yeah, and then we talked about a couple episodes ago, but Ty Amberson. He could barely crack the fucking 2023 Sharks roster.
Yeah, and now he's gonna
play he's actually secretly elite. No, he's not.
He's not.
Brett Kulak, not good. Josh Brown, literally the worst player in the league.
Yeah, and then
not even a joke. Like fucking look at the stats. He is the worst player in the NHL.
Yeah, and then like we said, Troy Stetcher and then Travis Dermott. That's like Travis Dermott as a person.
Exactly, but
he obviously he's on a PTO for a reason. Like
Ekholm is good, but he's 34.
What happens? Like we said, what happens with injury? Like we haven't talked about injuries. Like we talked about Victor Arvidsson. Maybe Ekholm will stay healthy, but what happens if Ekholm
misses 3 weeks,
misses 10 games, misses 15 games? You're gonna put fucking Darnell Nurse with Evan Bouchard? Good fucking luck. Like
this team. To me, this team is. You look at how their year went last year.
Fuck it. I'm putting.
Even how their playoffs went.
Edmonton's in fourth.
Okay. Even how their playoffs went. It's true. They are that team that can win 15 games in a row. They are that team that can blow you out 9-1.
I don't deny that.
They are that team. They are also the team that can start the fucking season fucking 0-1 and lose against the Sharks, or 0-10 and lose against the Sharks and get your coach fired. They're also that team that finally hits the final and loses 3 games in a row right off the bat.
Yeah.
They are both those teams. There are 2 Wolves within Edmonton.
And that's
one is an elite offense, and one is a mentally fragile team that gets scored on and collapses.
Yeah.
I am not fucking sold on them. Everyone is frothing at the mouth. Dude, imagine how fucking Ty Amberson feels. Suddenly he has to fucking hold Darnell Nurse's hand for a team that is everyone's cup favorite.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fucking pressure for
on
a 24-year-old.
On a 24-year-old. Getting paid $950
Exactly. And then, I think I believe in Stu Skinner a little more than most people.
I don't believe in Cal Pickard.
I do not believe in Cal Pickard. And Skinner, I like Skinner, but his ceiling is not super high.
His ceiling is not superstar elite. His ceiling's not
His
Carey Price, Henrik Lundqvist,
his
Marc-Andre
ceiling,
Fleury.
I always compare him to Logan Thompson. I love Logan. Logan has really strong flashes, but then he'll also have some stinkers in a row.
I think Skinner, like you could say like I was like in his prime, like Cam Talbot.
Yeah, like
good, but like not like world beater. You know what
exactly.
I mean?
People wouldn't be talking about him if he was on any other team.
He'll be able to make some saves, make some good saves.
Fucking mustache.
Yeah, make some good saves and play well as he should. But when you've got fucking Darnell Nurse and Ty Emerson and Brett Kulak and Josh Brown and maybe who knows fucking in front of you, that's not good. I mean,
people are like, oh yeah, but they somehow got Matthew Savoy. I'm like, cool, not going to play.
He's 19. Where do you want Matthew Savoy? So maybe he'll play on the wing with. Oh yeah, you know where Matthew Savoy is going to play? When Victor Arvidsson gets injured halfway through the season, Matthew Savoy is going to play on Leon Draisaitl's wing, and suddenly they're going to be back being okay.
Or hey, maybe they'll just call up Drake Kajula's fucking corpse.
Oh, you know who should play is James Hamblin, right?
Oh yeah, they got James Hamblin.
Hamblin and Raphael Savoy, guys who have been in Bakersfield for the last fucking 3 years.
I think they're gonna make the playoffs.
I think so too. I think
they're gonna make the playoffs. They're gonna have a few sexy win streaks, but I also think it's going to be kind of the opposite of how they went last year. Last year they had that awful start and then caught fire.
The opposite.
I think they're going to come out flying. Everyone's going to be frothing at the mouth, fucking slobbing their knob.
Yep.
And then I think around like January, February, they're going to start to spin out and then kind of limp in. Because, they're also the oldest team in the fucking league.
Yeah.
And you know what doesn't help that? Losing Broberg and losing Holloway. Their depth was already a question to me last year, and to me why they were such a hot and cold team.
Yes.
And the depth got worse. It got worse. Yeah, you added those great pieces to your second line. Yeah, clearly fucking Jeff Skinner's an upgrade over Warren Fogle. But
Jeff Skinner, we'll say that. As a scorer, Jeff Skinner's an upgrade over Warren Fogle.
Yeah.
Jeff Skinner is awful in his own zone.
Awful.
Jeff Skinner is a career minus player.
Warren Fogle at least plays with like speed and energy,
Jeff Skinner only scores.
They lose Ryan McLeod and they bring in Adam Henrique. Adam Henrique, he has
Ryan
skill.
McLeod
he can put up
incredible. Is a great third line, young too.
Yeah, exactly.
Young.
Yeah, they took all these young, fast guys that can play responsibly and kill penalties.
Yes.
And they fucking ship them out for more goal scorers.
Big reason why they made it so far into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Fogle, Holloway.
Was that penalty kill?
Is that penalty? They got scored on one time? I think.
Yeah, it was insane.
Playoffs.
Like, their special teams were insane.
Yeah, they're just so good at killing penalties because of those three guys, those three forwards. Because you didn't have to depend on McDavid to kill fucking everything.
Yeah.
And you lose all three of those guys, and you, like you said, you replace them with fucking Corey Perry, Vasily Podolsky. You still have Derek Ryan.
Vasily Podkolzin was like the 13th forward in Vancouver.
He's like the 13th forward in fucking Abbotsford sometimes.
Yeah, like he's a failed prospect.
He's like the definition of like, I saw it online. Vancouver is like, oh, so we finally found a trade partner. Like,
yeah, no, exactly.
Like,
Thank
finally,
God.
like
we finally found someone desperate enough to take him off our hands.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that's gonna even come close to replacing what Holloway brought?
No, or Derek Ryan, not Derek Ryan. I'm sorry, Ryan McLeod. Because they Ryans, but Ryan McLeod. Like those guys, you can't replace. Fogle too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we said,
I mean, you can replace them, but they didn't.
You used to replace them with scorers, but that's the old way of thinking in Edmonton. Like
exactly,
you can't outscore your problems once you get to the playoffs.
Yeah,
you've seen it time and time again.
Yeah, and maybe you can for a game or two, but guess what?
Look what happened against us. They outscored their problems for a game or two, but then we just fucking slowly brought them in. And
same thing with Florida. Yeah, like Florida, just, it looked like it got out of hand for a little bit there, but when the chips were on the table, they contained them and strangled them.
Yes.
Leon Draisaitl had like fucking a point in the final.
Yes.
So I don't know. I think it's going to be a wild up and down year for them.
Yeah.
I think they're going to get in these like violently chaotic games where, they lose 8, they win 8-4 one night, then fucking lose 7-2. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I just don't think it's sustainable.
And like they're like possible like replacements of like, guys that could get injured. Like we said, Hamblin and Lavoie. Raphael Lavoie is a big player. He's a big guy. Like I don't mind him as a player. He's a decent player, but like you don't want him playing important minutes right now.
And they brought in Carrick. Okay.
Matthew Savoy. Fine. Matthew Savoy is 20, but you don't want to depend on him. Like, yeah, he's a high end draft pick, but like it's not like it's going to fix your problems immediately. And then what happens if Skinner and Picard get injured? You have to depend on Colin Delia and Olivier Rodriguez. I don't think you want to do that. Like,
No.
The depth on this team is like just not good.
Nope.
Like I get it. Like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, like that top six again is great. It's a good scoring top six, but you still have to play defense.
Like I said, there are two wolves in this team. They are both teams that they were last year. They are the team that can lose to the Sharks and go on an 8-game losing streak, and
if Chris
but they're also
like,
the team that can win 15 games in a row and make it to the Stanley Cup final and score 9 goals in a game. They are both those teams. To me, that's too volatile. It's too volatile.
Yeah, you can't be up and down.
And then there's
going
to be so much pressure and so much attention,
a ton of pressure.
And people are like, "Oh yeah, well they just have that vibe, they have that aura." I'm like, yeah, they do, but it goes both ways. It goes both ways.
Yeah, there's like they were somewhat favorites coming in last season.
I would say they were extreme favorites. Everyone was drooling over them.
This year, it's even worse this year.
Yeah.
And you know what? It happens to those teams that are like the number one, like they're the number one teams, number one guys. Every other team in the division, in the conference is going to want to fucking take a chunk.
Exactly.
Like, you're not going to fucking tell me that Colorado's going to want to take a piece. We're going to take a piece. LA's going to take a piece. Yeah. Seattle's going to take a piece.
Exactly.
Vancouver's going to want to take a few pieces.
All those games are going to be measuring stick games, and everyone is going to be more than happy
to take a piece out of it.
We're to me, I'm like, yeah, I probably sound like a stupid homer with a chip on his shoulder. I'm like, yeah, guess who else feels like that? The players.
Yeah.
You think we know he isn't. Mark Stone's not happy that people are drooling over some team in his division and not the team that actually won the fucking cup.
Exactly.
Yeah, like you said, I know the Kings aren't happy getting eliminated by the same team 3 years in a row.
The Kings got a lot better this year than they've been.
Yeah. Imagine what fucking Tanner Jeannot is going to do to someone in the playoffs,
And not even in the playoffs. Imagine what Tanner Jeannot is going to do to like one of their first couple meetings.
Exactly.
You got Quentin Byfield locked in and ready to go. Well, Quentin Byfield's bigger than everybody on the Oilers right now.
Exactly. and like you said, I'm sure McKinnon would love a matchup against McDavid.
Oh, yeah.
Put it on national TV.
Yep.
He's going to go full psycho.
Yeah. Or Nashville. There's so many teams in the West that are going to want to take their piece because how downplayed everybody else in the West is compared to the Oilers.
Exactly.
And they know their team is better than the Oilers are.
Exactly. So I got him at fourth.
You convinced me. I moved him to fourth. I had him at fourth for a long time, and they moved him up. Spoiler, moved him up to third. But talking about this team just made me go, nope, fourth. We're dropping them.
All right.
So,
Good.
So 3 last year was the Kings, right?
Yep. They went 44, 27, and 11. That was good for 99 points. Edged us by a point. I honestly think that if we faced Edmonton in the first round, we could have won.
Yeah, I do too.
Hey, woulda, coulda, shoulda. If only we beat the fucking Ducks in the last game of the year.
Exactly.
Kind of sums up our season. But anyways, this year at 3 is going to be 3, 2, 1.
Seattle.
Kraken. Yep.
So,
all right.
I told you I wasn't far off.
Yeah.
So I love all the moves that Seattle did this year.
Me too. Okay. I feel like I need to get on my soapbox again and defend Chandler Stevenson's honor.
You're not. Don't worry about the term of the contract.
Yeah.
It means that you're going to get a good player for the next 2 to 3 years of him being off of him being incredibly good.
Yeah.
And being such a driver. This is something that I don't know if you listened to it, but on the Empty Netters podcast, they talked about Chandler Stevenson, and all of them were like, I think it was what was his name, Chris, who said it because Chris had him higher, and he was like, no, I think Stevenson was the driver in Vegas.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
He said something like that. And then they had Nate Thompson on, and he agreed. And Thompson played. So
and they're like, no, Stevenson's the driver. Stevenson wasn't just along for the ride. He's fast. He's good 2 ways. He can score. He's good all over the ice.
He has elite hockey IQ.
Yes.
He's one of the fastest players in the league. Good passer. He was our first line center for a long time.
Yeah.
During some deep playoff runs.
Yes.
And then he was our second line center for a cup run.
Yeah, he was incredible in that cup run.
Yeah, he had like 10 points in 20-something games.
He was only outshined because of how good Eichel and Marchessault were.
Exactly, which, to be fair, is what you need to win a cup.
But he's such a good hockey player.
And, I have a soft spot for Seattle. My dad lives in Seattle. I'm up there all the time.
Yep.
I've been to a Kraken game. I have a soft spot for the Kraken.
Yes.
So maybe this is my bias coming in. But I've also, because of that, tune into some Kraken media, and they are not happy with this.
Yeah, with the Stevenson. Yeah, they don't like.
And I just want to be like, guys, breaking news. He's immediately the best forward on this team.
Yeah,
he's immediately the best forward on this team.
The term on a 30-year-old and the cost, I understand, but the cap's going to go up, and you look at that 6.25.
He's going to be on PK1. He's going to be on power play 1.
Yep, immediately.
He's going to be eating minutes. He's going to be taking, and it makes sense because they need Beniers to bounce back, and they need Shane Wright to come in. Chandler Stevenson is going to be that guy that can help take shifts against.
I frankly think that Shane Wright's going to be riding shotgun with Chandler Stevenson.
I think so too. A lot of people are like, "Oh, he's going to be third or fourth line center."
No,
I'm like,
he's not going to
put him on the wing.
Put him on the wing with Stevenson. Stevenson's responsible.
Yeah. And I hate this whole idea of like, well, you have to play him at center or he won't develop properly. That's horseshit.
He's only 20 years
Byfield
old.
just got done playing wing for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
He'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
He's
got a great contract. He was incredible.
And which another thing I'll say, I really believe in Shane Wright, and I think it's insane how people have dismissed him so already.
They've developed him slowly.
Well, exactly.
I'm like,
doing. I feel like he's going to have a great year. People are going to be shocked. I'm like, wow. It's kind of crazy when teams actually develop their draft picks.
Yeah, look at that.
What a wild
idea.
Let him
play in the AHL for a couple
Don't just
of
throw
years.
him to the fucking wolves. Like,
yeah.
And because people are like, oh, well, he's been up and he's been down. It just hasn't impressed me. I'm like, you fucking idiots. Like, do you not read the press releases or read the interviews with the GM? It was the plan.
This is the plan all along.
Like,
Ron
literally,
Francis
they
wanted to develop him.
Exactly. They had Wright's year planned out to the T. They're like, all right, so you're going to play here. You're going to play for your junior team until January.
Yeah, and then you're going to go.
And then we're going to call you up for.
They had him with his junior team. He played in the World Juniors, and like right after that, come to the A, and he's like, sweet.
Exactly, and then you're going to play with the big club for a few weeks, and then you're going to go back down to the A, and then you're going to go on the Calder Cup run, and then next year we'll have you in the A full time, and then we'll bring you up at the end of the year and see how you're. It was literally all planned to a T.
Yep.
And from what I saw, the games that against Coachella that we got to see.
He looked great.
Yeah, he's a leader. Seattle media people. He kind of took control of Coachella, and he already had a presence in Seattle when he was there for a few weeks.
And that team went to the Calder Cup back-to-back years.
Yeah, exactly. and then when he played for Seattle, the few games at the end of the season, he was like a point a game or something.
Yeah, he looked great, and he's getting bigger. He's 6'1", 200.
Yeah,
that's good. So
I believe in Shane Wright.
Let's get into the lineup. Forwards, you've got McCann, Beniers, and Eberle.
I think Stevenson's going to be up there.
Could be. I don't think. Maybe don't move him up. I mean, because they still have that chemistry. I think McCann can get back to where he was, and then Eberle's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Schwartz, Stevenson, Tolvanen. I frankly think that Shane Wright will take Schwartz's spot.
Me too, because
on the wing.
Tolvanen still had like 24 goals.
Yeah, he's only 25. I think
Schwartz only had.
Yeah,
he didn't score a lot.
So let's call it Wright, Stevenson, Tolvanen for right now. I think that's a good. I think riding shotgun with Stevenson. I think that's going to be great for Wright and seeing how a center operates on a high level. And then I would say let's do. I would go Schwartz, Gord, Bjorkstrand. I think still a good line. And then I think you put Cartier on the fourth line center because Cartier is a gritty guy. He's a gritty kid. You got Tanev, Cartier, and Burakovsky. That's a good forward lineup.
Yeah.
And then your scratches on forward. Never mind. I thought they had more scratches, but I think they've got guys from Coachella. They didn't bring anybody in. But defense, they've got Vince Dunn and newly signed Adam Larson.
Great.
To a contract.
Great pair.
And they've been a great pair. Jamie Alexiak. And I think another contract that everybody's freaking the fuck out of, Brandon Montour.
And same argument. I'm like, yeah, that's the kind of guy that you need. He's a guy that can produce from the back end.
A good sized puck moving defenseman that they haven't had, and now they have him on two lines. And you're gonna pair him with a fucking monster Jamie Alexiak.
Yeah,
that's a good pairing. That's a great pairing.
Exactly. And people laugh at it because I hate it when GMs rely on these stupid intangibles. Just because you bring some Stanley Cup champions in, it doesn't change anything. Like, yeah, it does.
It does. It totally does.
People say it sarcastically. Cups in or rings in the room. I'm like, yeah, rings in the room,
really
motherfucker.
Helps.
That's a real thing, especially when you hit the playoffs.
Yeah, especially bringing two that just two fresh off the cup runs.
Yeah, because those guys know what it takes and they know how to play.
And then you got Riker Evans and William Borgen. I think Riker Evans is gonna take a step. He's young. I think he's good. And then goalies, I think they need to step it up and really figure out: is it Decord for sure? Can Grubauer stay healthy and okay? So it's Decord and Grubauer. We'll see.
Yeah, Decord,
He got hot there.
He had a really strong stretch of the season, but then he kind of fell apart. But
yes, and Grubauer picked it up.
To be fair, so did the rest of the team.
Yeah, totally.
I think it'll be a Decord, but you know.
Yeah, and they've got some other guys they can bring up. Like I like Ryan Winterton. I really like him.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got Logan Morrison, and then this year they drafted, I believe, Berkeley Catton, and then Ardward Sales, also a good pick. They've got a lot guys they could bring in or keep in Coachella. I just like this team. I mean, they really improved.
another big thing for me why I have them at third.
And then new coach.
I say new coach.
Also LA had hired Hiller too.
Yeah.
So they got some new coaches in this division.
Well, specifically with Bilesma.
Oh yeah, because
is it Bilesma or Bilesma?
I think it's Bilesma.
Specifically with Bilesma, and then also Jess Campbell. The system that he was running in Coachella Valley was very much based on transition and speed.
Yes.
Aggressive forecheck.
Which this team has a lot of speed, and there's Jared McCann and Eberle are down there fucking grinding.
Yeah.
Stevenson fucking lives on that shit.
If you're wondering why they brought in Stevenson, this is why, because he is going to fit into the system like a fucking glove.
Yep.
And then Jess Campbell, she's a great skills coach. She really focuses on skating and speed and edge work.
Yep.
Anyone that plays for her will tell you, you will be skating the best that you had in your career. I think this team is going to be fast. I think they're going to be a quick strike and transition type style.
They're going to be
they're going to overwhelm
team that's going to be
teams.
Extremely difficult to stop for a team like Edmonton. That if you don't have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl out there, you're fucked.
Exactly, because if you can weather the storm of those top two lines, it's going to be teams like Seattle that are going to cave in that fucking bottom six and cave in those D pairs.
Yes,
because they are going to be going fast. They're going to be shooting the puck.
You've got fast defensemen too. Vince Dunn, Adam Larson, Brandon Montour is sneakily a fast player. He's really he's a quick guy. Riker Evans is young,
and even guys like Brandon Tanna. Brandon Tanna is fast as shit.
Brandon Tanna he's a brute, and he'll fucking do everything you ask him to do. I just like this team. I like what they're doing. I like you said. Dan Bilesma, he was in Coachella. He coached Ty Cartier, Shane Wright.
Jagger
Furcus, who's also on this team. Riker Evans, Will Borgen was with him.
Mm-hmm.
They're just transitioning, bringing him up, and he's just going to put in that same concept. And look how well Coachella came in; they were immediately incredibly good.
Yeah, I think, I think that they also, I think there was some friction with Hackstall the year before, so maybe that kind of affected the season. I think this team's going to shock people.
I think so too. I think they're going to be very good. Last year, number 2 was Edmonton.
The Oilers. They went 49, 27, and 6. Was good for 104 points. This year at number 2 is going to be 3, 2, 1, Vegas. All right.
So we
pretty much
literally
matched up
identical.
here,
You convinced me on Edmonton. That was the only one that was different. At the start. But yeah, I have them at 2.
I didn't take too many notes because I'm like, I don't need to take notes because I'm intimately aware of this team.
I think just the big question mark is who steps up to replace the scoring.
Yes.
Who replaces the goal scoring.
Well, let me tell you the big reasons why we have them at 2. The center core is, in my opinion, 1 through 4, the best center core in the league. Obviously, Edmonton has a bigger 1-2, whatever.
That's undeniable.
Yeah, but
depth
Jack
overall.
Eichel, Tomas Hertl, William Karlsson, Nick Waugh, and then you got Brett Howden hanging out as an extra.
Yep.
1 through 4, to me, that is the best fucking center core in the league.
Easily. I think so.
So we're strong down the middle, which is probably one of the most important parts of the ice that you can be strong in. And then also the defense, elite. Noah Hannafin, Alex Pietrangelo, Braden McNabb, Shea Theodore, Nick Hague, Zach Whitecloud, Caden Korzak's hanging out.
Brent Hutton is hanging out. Lucas Cormier can get brought up if he needs to be.
Yeah.
9 guys. Dyson Mayo's on this team still.
Yep. Again, going to sound like a filthy homer, but tell me right now who has a better defense than that? Who has the luxury of having Alex Pietrangelo, Noah Hannafin, and Shea Theodore on the same fucking team?
Yeah, I mean...
Those are all like number 1 guys. We have 3 number 1 defensemen.
Maybe... Well, you can't say this anymore because Luke Hughes is gone for 2 months. The Devils had a solid defense.
Solid, but I wouldn't say they have 3 number 1s.
Toronto's got maybe not 3 number 1s, but Toronto's up there now that Yanni Hakanpää's back.
Solid defense.
Solid defense, but like this,
I used to.
This is a defense that's Avs Cup winning esque defensive structure.
This is an extremely dynamic. Like, I don't know if they're actually going to do this. Or my only fear is that it might be too good. There might be too many chefs in the kitchen. But
let's go through the lineup, and I'm going to reposition guys who I think they should be playing with.
Okay,
I'm going to reposition because obviously they've got stacked up to like who's the best forwards. They're all together. I'm going to go through it in my mind. Who's going to be playing together?
And I'm probably going to agree.
So I'm going to go forwards. Here's how I would line it up for right now, and it's also based on Cassie just said this. Who's going to be playing with Jack Eichel? Barbie, Eichel, Olofsson.
Agreed.
And then you got Dory, Hurdle, and Stone.
Also agreed.
And then for right now, just because Brendan Brison's kind of a question mark for me, I've got Ronbjerg, Carlson, and Holtz. And then Howden, Waugh, and Kolesar.
Agreed on all counts.
You could say, well, there's some question marks on the forward lineups. I'm like, yeah, of course, it's the wings. Yeah, of course there's questions. But let me preface this with Olofsson's a proven 20-plus goal scorer. Didn't do it last year. He was injured. He was playing in random spots.
He was playing in fucking Buffalo.
Yeah, but he's a proven 20-plus goal scorer. He can score. And you're going to have Jack Eichel running the point and then Barbashev with him. I think that's going to be great. And then Dorofiev he is set up to have a ton of potential and score. Now you're going to pair him with Tomas Hurdle. Mm-hmm. You're going to pair him with fucking
Mark Stone. One of the best, probably the best playmaker on the team.
Yeah, on the team, a playmaker, and then a guy that can stack in front of the net easily.
Yes.
And Dory's got a very good shot too. And then Carlson's going to be playing with Holtz, and Carlson's now got another
two Swedish boys.
Yeah, now he's got another wicked shot on his wing again, like he had with Marshy before and Smith. And then you're going to play him with Ronbjerg, who's very used to playing with.
Very, very defensively responsible. Yeah. And then even if they do go Brisson, that just puts Brisson in a spot to floor.
Yeah,
in a position to score.
Because Carlson can run that line.
Carlson makes everyone that he plays with better.
Yeah, and then
always has.
And we all like to talk about Brisson is if he's there or not. I think he can be ready. And everybody's like, oh, he's just a goal scorer. In Henderson, we went to every Henderson game.
Mm-hmm.
He can fucking pass.
Yeah,
he's got a great pass. He sets up kids. He sets other guys really well.
He has vision.
Yeah, and he can get dirt. He can get nasty too if he needs to. We've seen plenty of times where he's at the bottom of a pile.
Yeah.
And then obviously Howden, Waugh, Kolesar. That's best fourth line in the league, I think. So and then on defense, here's how I'd set up the defense: Hanifin, Haig, McNabb and Theo, Whitecloud and Pietrangelo. With the caveat of if Whitecloud or Haig doesn't play well, Korzak's ready and willing to take that spot. And not saying that Petro should play bottom pairing. You could evenly distribute all the minutes among that defense and be okay.
Yeah, to me, I think what I think it'll be is how it's laid out here. Hanifin, Petro, McNabb, Theo.
I could see that, but he could switch. He could pivot.
What I was going to say earlier was that you have a unique situation where if you wanted, you could have a really dynamic number one style defenseman on each pair.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would probably do something similar. Maybe I wouldn't do Whitecloud and Petro together just because they're both bright shots.
Oh yeah, that's right. Maybe Petro and
McNabb. Theodore plays on the right, but he's naturally a lefty, so you could
do McNabb, you could do Hanifin, Haig, Petro, Hanifin, Haig, McNabb, Petro, and then Theo and Whitecloud.
Yeah, something along that lines.
Yeah.
The point being is there's a lot of fucking options. There's a lot of talent.
And again, we have Ben Hutton and Caden Korzak. And
Korzak's going to play. Yeah.
He will play. He'll spell Whitecloud. He'll spell out somebody.
Well, and that's the thing. I think, we saw Hagen Whitecloud kind of fall apart towards the end of the season last year. Mm-hmm. I think having Korzak breathing down their necks, you best believe those boys were hitting the gym hard this season, this summer.
And then we've got Hill and Samsonov. I am, everybody forgets that Hill was, up until he got injured, was the best goaltender in the NHL.
Oh, yeah. He had, his goals against
far and away
was insane.
He was better than Connor Hellebuck. He was better than Hellebuck. He was better than Otter.
Better than
Demko. He's better than everybody. Far and away the best goaltender up until his injury. And you know what? He got injured and he was hit or miss when he came back. But he came back in the playoffs. And dragging that team against Stars, making
both Thompson and Hill are both great
incredible saves, making incredible plays, doing well. I still have the hope in him. I still believe in him. And then we bring in Ilya Samsonov. And he wasn't good in Toronto, but Toronto wasn't good in front of him. He was good. He was good on Washington.
Can I tell you the main thing I think it's going to be with Samsonov? And this kind of goes to Marshy's quote earlier about playing in Canadian cities.
Oh, yeah, less pressure.
It is a world of fucking difference.
It is way less pressure.
Going from being the starting goalie for the Toronto Maple Leafs
to
being the backup goalie of the Golden Knights.
Yep.
Which I love our market. I think we have a good, strong, healthy market, but we're also not fucking savage animals here. We don't fucking, talk shit about our own players.
Exactly.
Or approach them at the grocery store. I'm like, what the fuck? You had a terrible game last night.
Exactly. And he's going to be with Sean Burke, and he's behind a great defense.
Yeah.
And he's also not the starter. He's going to be
Exactly.
playing. He's going to be playing probably 30 games. I would hope only 30. I hope Hill stays healthy. But then again,
that's my only question mark is Hill's health.
Yeah. But then again, you also have Kier Schmid.
Exactly.
Going to be in Henderson, and you've got guys that's capable of being a backup or helping out.
Mm-hmm.
We're deep at the important positions, I think is what matters. So we're deep at center, we're deep at defense, we're finally deep at goaltender.
Exactly. And do I think Samsonov is a bit of a downgrade from Thompson?
Sure.
Yeah. But I also think he has the potential, and call it a hot take. I think he's going to be much better this season than people think.
I 100% agree.
Especially people that only know him from
Toronto and not. I think we looked up his stats. He actually had a really good first year in Washington, and then he got traded, or something happened. He ended up in Toronto, and then obviously we brought Tanner Pearson in on PTO.
Yeah, so
he's still only 32. He could still make the team. He just had those injuries, his wrist injuries, and everything.
So, if he's playing well and he's healthy, maybe he gets a contract.
Plug him in on the third line.
Yep, extra forward.
Exactly. There you go. And then obviously our, we all know this, but our prospect pool is not the best, but we still have guys that we brought in, Zach Aston-Reese, can play, plug in minutes if we need him to. Mason Morelli looked good on the fourth line when he played.
Yep.
Gregory Dernasenko, hit or miss. I think he's kind of a guy that has to play in the top six to look good.
Yeah.
We also brought in Callahan Burke, who's a good bottom six, replacement. And then we got the
Tanner Lazinski.
Yep.
And then our rookies, our aforementioned rookies,
Yeah.
Sepavilov, Brabenich,
Demick,
Hammerling.
Ben Hammerling. Yeah, they're all going to be in Henderson this year. They've signed their contracts. They're coming.
Lucas Cormier, Christopher Sadoff. I'm really high on Sadoff.
Yeah, me too.
I think he's going to be good.
He's finished.
Steady.
Yep.
Joe Fleming,
Shaka,
tough character.
Yeah.
I'm happy with. Like I said, it's not like the most high talent group of rookies, but I like these guys.
Yeah, and then Cataford, Connolly's going to come up eventually. Trent Swick, I think, might make the Henderson team or go to the
Jackson Hallam.
Jackson Hallam's, I think he went back to Michigan for one more year.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some guys that are there. But this is next year. I think this team can easily finish second.
I think so
this
too.
Team could finish first if they wanted to.
And also, let's not forget fucking Cassidy.
One of the best coaches.
One of the best coaches in the league.
There was a coach ranking. I was like,
as long as he doesn't lose the room.
Oh God.
For God's sake.
There's a coach ranking that came out. I was like, oh great. Well, we're gonna put Cassie. We're gonna put him outside the top 5. They had him at 3. I'm like, exactly.
That sounds right. That sounds right.
Yeah. All right. And then so I'm sure we'll talk about Vegas more in the next couple of weeks. But
yeah, as we say, we can. That's one topic that will never run dry.
Yeah. So 2.
I believe in this team.
Yep. 2. Me too. I've come back around from being, when free agency happened, we were both very sour. To now I've come back around to no, this team can fucking win and can do it well.
And one thing I really wanted to focus on before we move on. The center core and the D core, all that, but also I think Holtz and Olofsson, there's real potential there. And if there's one thing that Vegas is really good at,
pulling potential out.
It's pulling potential out. It's getting guys that were not good previously at their old job and really finding what's in there and getting it out. And I think that kind of goes back to what Marshy was talking about. They treat you like a king there. They give you every tool that you need to succeed.
Yep.
From the training to the food to the locker room to the masseuse to
they've got everything to make you work.
Sure they go out of their way to make sure you're comfortable off the ice.
Yep.
And in your personal life, you know. It's a tight room. There's
and
leadership in the room.
I think we're getting back to that mindset of being, misfits and offcasts from other teams. Look at Holtz and Olofsson and Schmid and
exactly. And like I said, these guys, I think everyone has a chip on their shoulder for various reasons. The
guys that are here last year have a chip on their shoulder from how it ended last year.
Exactly. The new guys have chips on their shoulders from. Like I said, I think I said this earlier, but you think Holtz isn't going to be pissed that he got traded away on his fucking entry level contract?
Exactly. Yeah.
He's like, I was the number 7 pick, and you just give up on me like that. Same thing with Olsen. I'm sure he's not happy that he's 29 years old and had to take a 1-year deal.
Yep.
I don't know. I just have a good feeling.
Me too.
Call me a homer.
Yeah, I'll call me that all day, every day.
This is the place for it. Sorry, folks. If you don't want me to be a homer for Vegas, you're in the wrong fucking podcast. Don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Let's get to number 1. Number 1 last year was Vancouver.
Yep. They went 50, 23, and 9, 109 points.
Good team.
Great. And then number 1 this year, we already know, but 3-2-1 Vancouver.
Vancouver. Let me preface this with saying this is entirely dependent on if Thatcher Demko is healthy and will play the beginning of the season. If Thatcher Demko is out for any time longer than a month, this team's gonna fucking burn. Like,
yes,
Shelovs is a good goaltender. He's
also injured.
He's also
They're both injured.
We don't know if he's gonna be 100% coming into the season. You want to start a season. So let's say Shelovs is okay. You want to start a season with young Latvian Arthur Shelovs and Jiri Patera? No, because all signs is that Demko is not ready. I saw something. I don't know if it was from Friedman. It's like a lingering. It's like he's never going to be able to.
He basically said like he has to learn to play through it.
It's not a surgery thing.
Yeah, so I don't know what that means, but hey, and then also the goalie coach left because
that's right.
I don't think he got fired or anything. I think he was just getting a little older and didn't want to travel. But still, he was a great goalie coach, and they lose him, so that's a loss. I'm still banking on this team because I really
like JT Miller. I like Brock Besser. I also like the coaching.
Yeah, this is they made some good pickups. I think this is one of the deeper teams that we've talked about. And I really like Rick Tocchet as a coach.
Rick Tocchet's a great coach. Again, this is entirely dependent on if Thatcher Demko does not play and he's not ready for, let's say, 2 months. If he was practicing, he's in camp, he just doesn't feel right, and he's going to take time to get as good as he can. This is not going to be good for this team. Yeah, you cannot depend on Shelovs. He's 24. He's still young. You can't depend on having a pairing of Shelovs and Jiri Patera.
No.
So let's go through the lineups real quick. So forwards. We've got DeBrusk, Miller, and Besser. Another question mark is Brock Besser. He's on his contract year. Also, he's coming off those blood clots in his legs that forced him out of the playoffs. If he can come back and be healthy and be Brock Besser, I think that's great for them.
That's something that I don't think it's going to affect his gameplay.
Yeah.
I think it's just it might affect availability.
Right.
But now that it's a known issue, I think he's going to be getting checked pretty frequently.
Oh, yeah. So, but I think I like Brock Besser. I mean, obviously American. I like JT Miller, American.
He's a fucking...
JT Miller and Brock Besser.
He's a cool
beasts.
killer. He's got fucking dirty hands.
So, and then this... I don't think this line's going to be the one that they say it's going to be right now. It says Pius Suter, Elias Pettersson, and Niels Hoglander. I think Connor Garland plays on that second line. Connor Garland's a killer.
I really like Connor Garland.
Connor Garland's is good.
Before Vancouver got good again, and then it's like, oh, what are they going to do? Are they going to sell pieces? I was like, get Connor Garland. Connor Garland.
Please. Yeah, Connor Garland's a fucking animal. He really
reminds me of Marchessault.
Yeah, he's a little fucking pit bull.
Yeah,
he's good, and then he can score. So I think he'll probably play up. So then the third line: Dakota Joshua, Teddy Bluger, Connor Garland. I really like Dakota Joshua.
Yeah,
I think that contract's great. It's a discount for him basically. Teddy Bluger is a good bottom six center,
two-way guy,
two-way guy. And the fourth line, it's a big question for me.
I do like I think Danton Heinen had a big year last year.
It's just, can they play together well? So Heinen, Amon, and Sprong. Amon played for them on the fourth line a lot last year, and he was in Abbotsford. And then Sprong, they obviously brought it in.
I think that's a sneaky good pickup.
I do like this. I mean, I don't mind the lineup.
Sprong has his issues, but despite getting fourth line minutes, he always scores 20-something goals a year.
Yeah,
which is kind of my concern with this team. I'm like, well, if fucking Besser gets injured, who's going to score? So they bring in Jake DeBrusk, they bring in Connor Garland.
Yeah.
To me, I'm like, one thing I always look at is, what was this team's issue last year, and did they address that issue? And I think that's
somewhat addressed. They addressed more on the depth scoring.
Yeah,
because that was their problem in the playoffs too. Is they just couldn't score.
Well, yeah, exactly. And then once Besser was out, it's like, it
was over.
Yep. They can defend, no problem.
Oh yeah, the defense. I do like this defense outside of the one name, but obviously Quinn Hughes, Philip Roenick, great first pairing.
Yep.
Carson Soucy, Tyler Myers, another good,
big, solid
Yep.
shutdown.
Oh yeah, huge 6'5" and 6'8". Christ.
Yeah.
And then the bottom pairing. This is a huge defense.
Yeah.
Derek Forbert, who's actually very, very good. He's been solid, and then Vinny DiHernay has been but you don't mind him playing bottom pairing.
Well, here's the thing.
But like, look at this.
He was bad in Edmonton, but
he was like playing up in the lineup because he
and
had
also
to.
it was a team that like is allergic to fucking defense
exactly.
half the time. So,
but yeah,
and a better structured team,
Rick Tocchet
playing on third right D, perfectly fine with him.
You look
there.
at this name that signed into a PTO is Sammy Bly.
Oh shit!
And a guy that kind of fell off for a couple of years. He's a good forward. He might make that team. Yeah,
and
I mean, this is a big defense.
They brought in Kiefer Sherwood.
Yeah,
still got Giuseppe and
Giuseppe's a good plug-in guy. Nora Yulson. And then I mean, this is outside of their top pairing. This defense is fucking gigantic.
Yeah.
Hughes and Roenick can hit hard too. Hughes 5'10", Roenick 6 feet.
Yeah,
but
and those
Soucy
two
6'5".
Yeah.
They play so well together.
Exactly.
Yeah, Soucy 6'5", Myers 6'8", Forbert 6'4", DiHernay 6'6". Like, and everybody outside of their first pair is well over 210.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these are big boys, and I think they did that on purpose to combat
big
Edmonton.
Defense. Yeah.
And then goalies, if they're both healthy, Demko and Shelovs, I think that's a good pairing. It's just if they're healthy,
mm-hmm.
and if they're not, this is a scary place to be in.
Yeah, I was kind of debating at putting them at 1, but I was like, well, I don't. I was like, I don't want to put Vegas at 1.
Yeah, me too. Exactly my thought.
And but then I was like, well, I don't want to put
Edmonton at 1,
or
Seattle at 1.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that's like how just a testament to like how good the Pacific is getting again. 1 through 5 is all very good. And then scratches, like we said, Sherwood, Giuseppe, and Noah Yulson. And then training camp is Sammy Bly. And then they've got some good prospects. Like Archie Baines is actually pretty solid. He played a lot for Abbotsford. We saw him quite a few times. He's a good player. Lannis Carlson.
Atu Ratti.
Danila Klimovich is pretty solid. Jonathan Ulekamaki is still only 20. They've got some guys that could pop in and plug in. Their
Jet Wu.
He's like that vaunted defense prospect that they kind of had, but hasn't really got there. They do have Tom Wallander. The 19-year-old, you could see him play some minutes. I mean, they've got guys they could plug in, and I think this team will be good again. Like we said, coaching is great.
And to me,
they've got high-end pieces. Yeah,
it just feels like the dysfunction is finally fucking behind them.
Yes, all that bullshit from previous regimes.
Yeah, they're like, let's just play hockey.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
also, I don't think they're happy with how their season ended. It's kind
not
of
at
when
all.
we're talking about Edmonton. It's like, all these teams are going to want a piece. I'm like, yeah, you're goddamn right. You think Vancouver's happy about
getting eliminated in the second round? Yeah,
losing. It's a close 7-game series, and then the team that beat them goes to the final.
Yeah, they're going to be pissed.
I guarantee you, everyone in that room is like, that could have been us. Like,
easily could have been
done
Vancouver.
That,
Yeah, they're going to be pissed. They're going to, like we said, they're going to. Everybody's going to want a piece of Edmonton, and I think you can kind of equate it to what happened to. Us one.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, everybody wanted a piece. Also, what happened to Colorado?
Yeah.
And then why they finished lower that year and ended up losing to Seattle. Everybody wanted a piece. You're not going to think that everybody in the West, and especially in the Pacific, is not going to want a piece of Edmonton.
Exactly.
And just because how low they're ranking everybody else in the Pacific, and how just disregard. Oh, it's Edmonton. That's it. No one's talking about the rest of the Pacific. No one's talking about the West.
Well, and it's funny because if you listen to other podcasts, like sometimes they do like bookmarks.
Yeah,
and if they're ever talking about the Pacific, the time block of Edmonton is like half the episode. And, and they're like, well, obviously number one's Edmonton. Let's talk about it for half an hour. And then, these other teams are kind of there. I'm like, yeah.
I mean, shit. The Kings might be better than Edmonton. Like,
yeah,
Seattle has a chance. Like everybody, like again, that top 6 on the Edmonton is elite. One centers 1 and 2, the best 2 centers. 1-2 center punch probably ever in the history of hockey.
Yep.
But you can't tell me that the bottom 6 is not
gonna get victimized.
Gonna get victimized, and then that defense outside of the top pairings also not gonna get absolutely victimized.
Mm-hmm. And then if you start like, okay, well, let's split it up to spread it out. Like, well, is Jeff Skinner gonna be good next to Adam Henrique?
No, because Jeff Skinner doesn't play Adam Henrique's game. Adam Henrique's game is a good 2-way game.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Skinner doesn't do that. Victor Arvidsson doesn't do that. Leon Draisaitl sure as hell doesn't fucking play 2 ways.
Nope. He only comes back if he wants to spear you in the nuts when the ref's not looking.
Yeah, I mean, I know we had them at 4. And like you said, they could play hot and then slow down. They're a team that could win by 7, lose by 7, up and down. It's just like I get it. I get everybody's hype for Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, but you have to look on paper who's around those two guys.
Exactly.
You're gonna tell me, like you said, I know it's like beating dead horse. Corey Perry is gonna be 39. He's gonna be on the the third line with Adam Murray, who's also 35, and also with Podolskin or somebody. You lost 3 penalty killers. Who's gonna take the kill after McDavid?
Exactly.
McDavid and Nuge. Who's taking the kill after that?
Yeah, and then to bring it back to Vancouver real quick, they were able to shed Vasily Podkolzin because he couldn't crack the fucking lineup.
Yeah, they got him for like what, a 5th? They got like a pick for him, like 5th round, 6th round pick or something, and they got like actual value, like, and that this team's still good. Like, I would take Vancouver 100% of the time over.
Agreed.
Like,
and I think JT Miller. I
Miller,
kind of hate him, but I kind of love him.
He's
the kind of like, fuck you asshole that they needed.
Yeah,
like,
and you don't think that JT Miller is going to have a fucking chip on his shoulder playing against Edmonton this year?
Yeah.
He's going to want to fucking...
Because he played all those hard minutes against McDavid just to lose in Game 7.
Yeah, he's going to want to fucking bury someone's head in. Like, I guarantee you. Like, these games... Like, you think our games are going to be fucking rough against Edmonton? Vancouver's games are going to be fucking violent against Edmonton. Yeah. And Vinny Desharnais not being resigned, he's going to have a chip on his shoulder for not staying with the team. He's going to be like, I got rid of this team and you kept fucking Darnell Nurse and you brought in Josh Brown, but I couldn't stay? Fuck you. Like,
exactly.
These guys are going to have all chips on their shoulders and they're going to want to fucking bury Edmonton. Like,
and I think they're just going to want to prove that, like,
they're better.
Last year wasn't a fluke. We were number 1 last year. We deserve.
We'll do it again.
We're going to do it again.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think they can.
Yeah, I think so too. I think all these teams are ready and willing to fucking beat Edmonton's doors in.
Yep.
Yeah, and then so that's the Pacific. Next week we will probably talk about the start of training camp.
Maybe do a little recap on some of these rookie games if we can get a clear fucking internet feed on one of
exactly. I doubt it. All those cameras look like they were fucking from 1992.
Yep.
Like they haven't updated that facility since like CRTVs were brand new.
Nope. I realize now why they weren't selling tickets. It's literally just a sheet of ice in a room.
Yeah, it's not even like their AHL ice. It's literally like the City National practice facility.
Which makes sense. I guess they probably didn't want to fly everyone to fucking Ontario to
but they
to do a rookie game.
Yeah, but I mean you're in Henderson. It's only 30 minutes away from Vegas. What can we say? Ontario sucks. So yeah, and then next week we'll training camp assault. Maybe we'll take a look at Henderson and see who's playing there. And then within a couple of weeks we'll have our first preseason game. Yep.
We'll get some training camp storylines.
Yep.
See how the new guys fit in.
Yep. How everybody's playing. How everybody's practicing with each other. Can't wait. Until then, stay gold.
Stay gold.